and then he went on to study painting at the New York Studio School in New York. So he works as a visual artist with mixed media and painting. He mostly works with a lot of political and current affairs translated into his artworks. He is also a visiting faculty at SPA. And so over to you, Satya. Welcome and thank you for doing this for us today.
Thank you, Ananda. Hello all. Good evening, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me. It's a great opportunity to be here. Can you all hear me? Loud and clear?
Yes.
Good. So this is my first, so you will have to excuse me how to navigate and share things, And I'm very humbled to see 100 people showing up at 4 o'clock. It's quite hot in Delhi right now, and so is Ahmedabad. But this is an opportunity to connect, I guess, to share things. And this is a possible way. I think we should really make use of it and get to know what all kind of artists and designers are out there. And it's a great initiative by UID to connect with different kinds of professionals all over the world. I heard that your webinar with international teachers and professionals was also a good one. I hope to join one of them soon. So myself, Satyakam Saha, I'm from Nagpur in Bihar. I'll just keep fast forwarding myself. I came to Delhi in 1987, studied at Delhi Public School, and then joined SPA School of Planning and Architecture in 1990. Passed out in 1996. Had a small work come experience thing, in Delhi. We had our own office, bunch of us colleagues who started an architectural firm. Or a design firm, not necessarily architectural firm. We just did everything from graphic design to Jharu Pocha to whatever came to us. But in time, we sort of got to establish ourselves as exhibit designers. That was the work available for young graduates in Delhi. And I'm sure you've heard about Pragati Maidan and different expo centers around in Delhi. So they provided us a great opportunity to make quick money and also to execute projects. Architectural projects take forever sometimes. Can be 1 year to 5 years to 10 years, never know. But interiors and exhibit design, they're good. I mean, you can get around a good sizable work and it pays well. In like 2 months time, you can get something done. So we did a lot of that, exhibit design. We did have companies like Mitsubishi designing their exhibit fairs in Pragati Maidan. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of record from that time because I left for US and that was history. After I came back, I couldn't get hold of my old archival work, which is no more now. So I'll fast forward myself again from 1996 to 2000. I went to visit few friends in US in April of 2000. So just a visit, but some coincidence I ended up in art school. But something which I always was interested in, but wasn't sure if I want to go to an art school after having done architecture, because art per se doesn't hold much in India, or at least then didn't. I didn't know what I was going to end up into. But it ended up well. After 3 years in art school, I was a changed person. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a glimpse of my art school. It's called New York Studio School. It's close to NYU and Washington Square Park. If you guys are familiar with New York City, you have traveled. I'm sure some of you have. So,
hi, Satya. Sorry to interrupt. Can you speak a little loudly?
Sure. I'll just get closer.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, New York Studio School. I just want to show you a video about what they do in the school. It's a very traditional school. They have figure and landscape as a primary source of education. It has existed for thousands of years, not thousands, sorry, hundreds of years, studying the figure and the landscape, and they have pursued that. So I did that for 3 years. We had models from morning till evening. So it was broken up into painting, drawing, and sculpting. So you could choose from any of the studios which you wanted to pursue. So I chose, my first year was painting, and drawing was always a common subject for both. So we always had models and still lifes to draw from morning to evening. And the amazing thing was that it was a work for study program where I could do odd jobs within the school, work in the kitchen, the library, and I could pay for my tuition. Because I wasn't prepared to come and study in the US. I was supposed to come back and then, get back to my life in India, but that didn't happen. I stayed back in New York for almost 12 years, in 2000, and then I came back. In between, I did visit India a few times, but I finally headed back home in 2012. So 12 years was a good chunk of time with primarily art, I would say. I got to do art school and then ended up working with different artists, and then found job working in different art foundations, then finally got a foundation run by a board. And I'll share all these foundations, addresses and websites. Let's see if I can share all these websites also, give you a glimpse. If you guys are interested, you can always look up and find out more. So first thing first, let me see if I can share the video.
Perfect. Yeah, you can start now.
Okay. Is it good?
Drawing goes back 40,000 years. Now that they think that those works in Chauvet are of that age. So it's a primary resource for the human being to try and find some way of describing their experience in very simple means. I think
Abro, is it working?
Yeah. Why are these scribbles there? Anybody? Any idea who was annotating?
No, I'm not scribbling. I don't know who's doing this scribbling. That's funny. I will stop this share because I can't see myself on the screen. Now it's okay.
Yeah. Like, are you controlling the mouse? Are you controlling the cursor?
No, I'm not. I just have the play button on.
drawing is more of a philosophy about how you see the world and how you translate that experience.
Uninterrupted studio sessions focus largely on observational drawing. The New York Studio School offers a unique alternative to the more fast-paced, compartmentalized approach common in many art schools today.
Even if you're a photographer, an installation artist, or a designer, drawing and working perceptually is so important to the translation of seeing, understanding how to translate your world.
The unexpected things come just through the process of drawing, process of looking. You see so much within the simple things.
The building that houses the New York Studio School is central to the school's identity. Composed of 8 carriage and townhouses in the heart of Greenwich Village, it was once home to the original Whitney Museum of American Art.
So the building itself has just this amazing history, and art has been made here, displayed, and discussed here for almost 100 years.
Working within the space and the original Whitney, and having the build so old and shaky that the dust falls into your work. So these pieces that I'm developing here have history that is so rich, that involved them, and I believe those subtleties are what resonate 50 years from now when someone looks at something.
We have a 2-year MFA program and a 3-year certificate program, but then we run our marathons 3 times a year. And then we also offer evening and Saturday programs, which is great for a lot of people who can't come on a full-time basis, but they can come once a week and devote themselves to drawing or painting or sculpting.
The quality of the teachers is outstanding. Like I don't recall in undergrad counting all my teachers up and thinking, wow, I like all of them.
There's a continuous flow of great minds, great talents, and great endeavors. I think, for example, just to single out the Guggenheim, we have 8 Guggenheim holders in the faculty at this very moment in time, and I think that's quite a high proportion.
Through a wide variety of programming, the school serves and nurtures artists in all stages of their careers.
What we try and do is give people the wherewithal to be painting in 10 years' time in their own space, firming their commitment and doing extraordinary things. Or conversely, that they're walking down the street with their friend and see that the space between 2 buildings is as exciting as the buildings themselves, so that they're seeing it in a fresh way. So we're in it for the long term, not the short haul.
We would love to welcome you to the New York studio.
So back to it. So just a small glimpse of what happened for me in 3 years' time. It was transformative for me because architecture was way behind me now. I was already now into figure drawing and landscape and painting. Understood a lot of different materials, how to sculpt. That was my life then, and I wanted to pursue it. Back home, there were a lot of repercussions. My partnership went off, but I was prepared for what was coming my way in the US. So one thing led to another. I stayed back even after my studies. Did all kinds of odd jobs, which was something else. There was also a life experience. There was education in itself, how to survive a big city. Being an artist now, because architecture I didn't want to pursue. So it led me to working in bars and painting houses, moving things, delivery boy, you name it, and it was fun. When I look back at it, it was really good fun having done all that, and didn't come with a lot of baggage. Because we are educated so differently in India. Being exposed to how to be independent and make a living out of doing whatever. It was a different experience altogether. So things led to working for different artists as studio assistants, and who are established artists in New York City who exhibit regularly. So it was 3 days to 4 days a week working for different artists, and then working odd jobs and having enough time to do my art because things were different. Things were different in a way because, hold on a second. Yeah, so odd jobs, and I managed to just survive for the next few years before I finally found foundation was ready to hire me. Sorry about that. And I fit in very well in this scheme of things. They needed to expand their museum foundation. So being an architect and being an artist, I fill in the bill that I could take care of a lot of responsibilities. So the foundation itself is called the Rennie and Chaim Gross Foundation. Again, I'm going to share something. Can you all see this? Abro, how's it going?
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, we can see.
Oh, okay. So just to tell you briefly about the foundation, the artist-run foundation. His name is Chaim Gross. He was a modern sculptor, well known for direct carving in wood and stone. So this is his residence cum studio. You can see all kinds of tools where he carved wood in different kinds of wood he used, like almost 40 kinds of wood he used. And then his living quarters, which is all kind of a gallery, like a private collection of artworks. His contemporaries and also an avid collector of African art. He started collecting African art in 1940s, and in time it became one of the biggest African art collection in US. So please go and take a look. They have a lot of interesting programs, very active schedule, of events. Right, you can actually, it's one of those hidden treasures in New York City. You just go and explore. It's a house from outside, but inside is a wonderful place. So I worked there for almost 7 years as an assistant director. I had a lot of different kinds of responsibilities. A was photographing art objects, where I trained myself to be a photographer, and then archiving works on paper, art objects, his collection, also scheduling art exhibits within the foundation. So I'll just again share something, a folder. Can you all see now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So these were different exhibitions which I kind of got around in time. Like every few months we would host an exhibition of artworks within the foundation, of all the works, his work, his contemporaries' work, his collection. So they were well curated shows, and my job was to put them up on the wall, even frame them. And so I kind of did. I was like a one-man army, framing the artworks to painting the wall to putting up the exhibition, filling the wine glass, all of that. So it was good fun. This is his wife's portrait in mahogany wood, Renee. So some of these artworks are his contemporaries, his friends from art school, who he supported because he was pretty well off. He could buy their artwork. And some of them were commissioned to artists, like portraiture of his wife, Renee again, and a carved head by him, So again, another exhibition, body in pieces, another curated show from the collection. Him carving when he was almost 22, 23 years old. So I had a fair idea about exhibit design, and it worked very well. This is an artwork by his daughter, Mimi Gross, who I also work for as a studio assistant. So that was the foundation. How is it going, Abro, with the sound and everything?
Yeah, it is all right. It is all right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So foundation, then we can get back to my own art now. And I will start with I thought this is a better way to view, right? This is a selection of my artworks over a period of time, like almost 10 years.
Yeah, we can
So,
actually see it really well. So yeah.
okay, great, excellent. So I think thumbnails, I just quickly browse through them, and because there's so much I want to share. And I will then I'll share some of my art first, then I'll share some of the design bit, and then I'll share how drawing is crucial in taking this forward. So we'll talk a little bit about, or I'll talk a little bit about the topic, which is drawing by design, and how it's been very important for me in the last 20 years or so. So you can see my artwork. Most of these are not really painterly. They have a lot of mark making. They're still in that stage where it's a drawing and a painting, and that has stayed with me all along. Very few paintings. This is from the World Trade Center aftermath. The whole world changed. A lot of artists were influenced, and we were no exception. We also were influenced. Our art school was not so far from the World Trade Tower, so we could actually walk there, make drawings, come back, and just reflect and bring it in our experience and artworks. So this was a whole series of art which I did after the World Trade Tower. A lot of my work is political. After 9/11, whatever happened throughout the world and the news which populated through different channels, it kind of got enmeshed in my artwork. So there was figure and there was landscape, and I was trying to get around it. My own reflection of how my art should be and what I should portray and what I should share. So I did a lot of studies of old masters, and I'll talk about them a little later. So I make drawings constantly. These are small drawings, 8 inches by 10 inches, to giant paintings. These are almost like 20 feet by 6 feet. So the scale is not really important for me. These are different stages of my studios where I have to clean them up, for open studio activity, where artists always do this. Every few months when you want money, you can always exhibit your work, sell them, invite people and sell them, so that you're taken care of as far as expenses are concerned, so that you can buy more paint. So material-wise, I just want to talk briefly about material. So there's fabric here, there is digital work here, there is watercolor here. This is a Japanese rice paper construct. This is plaster and metal. This is from my art school. This is my own hand. This is in clay. Then there is mixed media. I do a lot of mixed media works. I like to explore. I like to explore things which are, disposable, which are thrown out. I just pick them up from the street and kind of recycle them, put them in my art, change things around, cut them. So collage is a big part of my art, and I explore it every now and then. So sometimes it's a body of work, Sometimes it's always in seclusion. So this is just purely ink, my own way of exploring the medium. This is again ink and acrylic. Then there are light boxes, again digital work. So there is a source of light, there's a film. And then there are some videos which I will share also. This is a very classic collage. So this is all from found objects from the street, even the cardboard, even the paint. So the good thing about New York was I lived in a neighborhood where it was all artists. Most of these artists who were rich, they would just put things out on the street for poor artists to pick them up. So I would find brand new sketchbooks, jars of paint, brushes. They were always aware of this, that there are student artists or there are struggling artists who need this. And stationery is expensive, as you know. You guys are students of design. I'm sure you dish out so much of money buying stationery every day for your projects. Now that I've started teaching in SP, I am very well aware of the amount of money it takes to buy stationery and to always, justify it to your parents. This is also again a mixed media work. This is acrylic, charcoal, oil, again ink, acrylic. So I don't have a genre. So this is just a scattered body of work. A lot of work is a reflection of the world after 9/11, and I have a body of work called Canned Heat, where one war led to another war, and the repercussions throughout the world, and how it's come to me in India now. So I'll briefly talk about them. This is my studio in Brooklyn, in New York City. I had a beautiful studio. I had a Japanese neighbor. He had a different style of painting. He was very meditative, and I was on the other spectrum. I was all about being spontaneous and impromptu. I had skylights and bird chirping above my studio. So it was a beautiful experience having the studio there. This is just on a newspaper background. So I kind of mounted this on a big poster sheet, which was also picked up from the street. So I pasted newspaper, and then I took chalk, blackboard chalk. And this is a drawing out of chalk on newspaper. It's very fragile, and I have to figure out how to fix it now. This is purely pen and ink drawing. Again, pen and ink. There are some mediums which are favorite, and I keep them with me wherever I am. Pencil is always there, of course. So this is just a glimpse of different mediums of work. This is just a photograph of the paper models. I kind of manipulated it, colors. So that's one. Now, how's this going, Abro?
Oh, it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. No problem.
Great. So these are my new works back in India now. These are explorations in just paper models. They are sculptural, and I leave it very open. When I work with these mediums like paper, for instance, they can be small scale but big in vision. They can be something like this. Can be a building, can be a tent, can be a light fixture, can be a tabletop fixture. So I keep it very open in my approach to design these days. And some of them are now constructs for projects which I'm working on design-wise. These are again, pieces of artworks which can be like a decor on wall. Then there is a whole series of work in clay, the small studies of clay. I like to play with them. So a lot transpires between the paper models and clay, because I am very interested in how I translate these ideas, and then the next stage will be casting them. So paper to clay, first is drawing, of course, and then there is paper sometimes or clay directly, and then the next stage will be either they are like sculptural, giant installations, or they are buildings or ideas, small tabletops, or just purely sculptural things. So again, paper models. These are new constructs. Some of them you will see in metal. You can see this is part of the group, like all these. So how I translate these ideas, first the shell, then you have the structure, and a better structure. So when it comes to really drafting them out for the engineers, then you have the drawings, and you have proper drawings for construction. So from being a conceptual idea to construction drawings. So I'm just going to run through different folders. So this is a bunch of images from a different exhibitions. This is an exhibition in Delhi, in Connaught Place. There was a gallery once upon a time, outside. So I was invited in 2008 to come and make this here. So I bought everything from Connaught Place, Sadar Bazaar, all fabric and threads. I use materials which are easily available, and put some light source. This is more form based. So there's a different version of that in Delhi again in a different gallery. Again, frames made out of copper tubes. These are like a tensile structure, and just choosing a fabric which works best for me. This is the exhibition in Pragati Maidan. It's called United Art Fair. So there was an American curator who was aware of my work, and she knew that I am back in India. So she visited my studio and chose a body of work with big paintings and collages and some sculptures. This was again from that show in Pragati Maidan. So you can see I'm interested in mediums and materials. So this is a painting, this is clay, this is plaster, this is a chalk and acrylic, this is a collage. This is my last exhibition at India Art Fair in January. So I had 2 drawings, landscape. These are all drawings, small drawings, and a light box. This is a corner, it was a group show. It was hosted by Italian Cultural Center. And there's an organization called Engendered. So they partnered to host this show in India Art Fair. And I was part of the group. So I'll just be jumping around, so that there's an interest. Here again, this is Lincoln Center in New York City. This is a construct again in Japanese rice paper. It was very difficult. I wanted a tensile structure in rice paper. It was a stupid idea, but I was just adamant, I want to explore this material because the paper was so fragile. While putting it up, I had to patch it up so many times. So the whole thing was very, very, tiring and confusing at times. Like, why did I choose this material? Fabric works best, right? So it's again, learning from experiences. This was in Queen's Museum. This is an opening show. There's again 2 collages I have in the show. I exhibited widely through this Indo-American Art Council. They have a yearly annual exhibition, and all the artists from the diaspora, from South Asia, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, you just submit your artwork, and then someone curates the show to choose the work, and you get good places to exhibit it. This was again Queen's Museum. This was Stony Brook College outside New York City. The same show traveled in 5 different places. This was in Massachusetts, in a university again, student center. And then you have these light boxes. Another gallery space. Center. Now this is a folder of artworks. This was my first open studio in Kaladham in Greater Noida. After I found a studio space, I thought, let's just warm it up, just clean it up, and prepare myself for my next stage of living in India and continuing with my work. So it was a great opportunity to stretch my artworks. I managed to bring a big amount of art from New York in containers, and then I had to unstretch them. And this is what happened, my first show in my own studio. So this went on for almost 3 months. I would host an open art studio every weekend and invite a bunch of friends. This was a very good experience, just to expose my work here to people or to the art community in India. This is my studio where I work. And I also rented out a few other studio spaces. Kaladham is a community in Greater Noida. If you guys are aware of Greater Noida, it's a place for a bunch of colleges, universities, and they have it in the master plan as a city where they have assigned Knowledge Park 1, Knowledge Park 2, Knowledge Park 3, and you have almost like 20-25 different colleges. I'm sure you know about Sharda University, and Kalkotia, and then Noida International University, Shrimnada University, and Amity. Amity has a branch in Greater Noida. So yeah, so Kaladham is an artist community. There are 100 studios, and I rent one of them. So these studios were given to artists once upon a time in 2000. A lot of artists live and work there. So they were like a lot of these big paintings, which I managed to stretch and exhibit. So this was coming from Brooklyn all the way to Kaladham in Greater Noida. It's quite a journey for these big paintings. This is our exhibition.
Time?
I'll stay with art right now, and then I'll get to design. So I'll focus on a group of work. I want to get to the topic, drawing with design, and how drawing has been important to me all along. So this is a body of work, and I call it Ambush. If you guys are interested, you can look up my website and find out more about what's the story behind these paintings. It's too little time to get into this topic of what my art is about. It's too big a topic. So I'll start with this work. This is called Ambush, and this was started in 2006, giant painting. But before that, you see all these drawings are assimilated. So I make drawings. This is a drawing of a master, Nicolas Poussin, 17th century. It's just pen and ink and gouache. I'm sure you guys handle ink and gouache, design students. So this is a war painting by a master from 17th century. So I did a bunch of these drawings, just loosely in pen and ink, and got around one scale. Like I wanted it to be a cinema scale, like, the proportion of it, where I kind of wanted it to be. I already had an idea about this big painting, the scale of it, the proportion of it, but I didn't know what. And this was my way of figuring out what I want to paint. So studies, and then finally narrowing down to a lot of studies about landscape, about figures jostling each other in landscape. And this is another study of Michelangelo's. This became a collage, an artwork in itself. And on the side, I was also doing charcoal studies, and these were sculptural in nature. So I would make small sculptures in plaster. So it's all about this struggle and with the figure in the landscape. And the main thing was this word ambush, because it was so much in the news 2003 onwards when the United States invaded Iraq. This word ambush was there constantly in newspapers, New York Times. I would read this word 100 times, ambush, ambush, ambush. Who was ambushing whom, the militants or the US Army. So it was a big debate churning in me and how to, just be able to explore this idea into different mediums. So this is a drawing stage and then the final painting. And this has stayed, this exercise of doing a bunch of drawings first, and then figuring out what I want to, what scale, what proportion, all of that comes later. But my practice of just drawing and exploring different mediums first. They are artworks in themselves, of course, but then they add to this big giant painting. It's a kind of a culmination. And then I say, okay, this is it. I'm done with this idea of ambush. I want to do another painting. Similarly, I would now like to focus on a body of work which is sculptural in nature and how drawing and the idea of making models, paper models, studies. Most of you design students do this. I teach and I know what goes behind in doing your finished work. So this is the text. This was actually a proposal from Queen's Museum, and I had made a proposal for them. It was a very good time for me. I had gotten out of art school and I was on my own and trying to figure out how to be a professional artist, how to make money out of my art now. And for every opportunity, learning my way, working for different artists, established artists, how to go about things, how to make proposals. So this was one way. And of course, a lot of studies, drawings. This is from my studio, and thankfully I have this practice of documenting, taking photographs of while I'm at work. So there's a big folder of work in progress, which I always like to look at, where I was and where I am now. And that still continues, like making maquettes, making small studies, cutting, pasting. As an architect, this helped me, and as an artist, to figure out different mediums, exploring them. This was a proposal for Queen's Museum lobby. So this was a quickly drawn idea, you can see. This was in preparation for this, the same artwork or a different version of it in Delhi. So I worked in the gallery space. All these copper tubes, you can see the frame and the fabric, working in the gallery floor. And this is what happened. So it was a tensile structure. Students of architecture design would know. It was more about the female form and the male form. It's all about, you have the right up here, different version of it. So now these are some of these pictures are work in progress, like the copper tube, while working in my studio in Brooklyn. You're on your own because things are very expensive there. You know, even to get someone to come and help you is very expensive. It's not like in India where you can really get someone to come and help you and work for you and make your artwork. A lot of artists do that in India. When I came back, I saw this. These are very simple ideas and figuring out how to make the tensile structure. Because from here, then it was meant to be a bigger structure, right? How to keep it stable on the wall and all the different hardwares which would go inside and mounting it on the wall. So I had to really do this up in my studio and then take it to the place where they provided me with a small lift, and then managed to install it on the site. But before that, I made the model for this site. So that's the architect in me kicking, you know, and making use of that experience, and putting a light and see how it looks, and the final piece, you know. So this is all a process, you know. You just have to go from one thing to another. You can't avoid it. These are smaller studies, paper models again, with the light fixture, figuring out what the effect will be, what I need. This is that fiasco of working in the rice paper. The glow was beautiful, and that's why I was seduced to the glow, putting the light source behind the rice paper. It gave me a real even glow, but it was very fragile to handle. So some of these are now photographs of the model itself, and I use them as light boxes sometimes. So this is a scale model. Then I made this out of rice paper. First, this was just pure cartridge sheet. So you can see the process, you know, how going from a small model to big installation. There's another work for body work, which is flowers. I'm fascinated by flowers, and this has these are again artworks, which is in stage between a drawing and a painting. It's not a finished painting because I use a lot of again mark making. It's all in charcoal. Same with this piece, again in charcoal and acrylic and oil. So this was an exercise again in 2003 when the war started. I had this discipline of drawing every day. So I bought a bunch of sunflowers, put it in the studio in a corner, and then I drew it every day. So this was just raw canvas on the wall. I would just come, draw in charcoal, and just leave it. Next day come, wipe it up, observe the flower where it is, you know. So in weeks time, you know, it started drooping. You can see the capturing of it, how I kind of capture the mood. Again, it was very personal experience of how you train yourself, what's your discipline, and what you get out of it. What are you thinking about? So there's war happening, there's a bunch of sunflower, there's your own struggle of living in New York, and all of that assimilating here, you know, somehow. Again, this is again the still life of flowers, you know. There's a happy bunch of flower in the beginning. You can see the marks. Again, sorry, this is someone scribbling again. Bro, you can see the scribble, right?
Yeah, I can see the scribble.
Yeah, so somebody is saying sorry. Yeah, please, you're on. Get on with it.
Can you see who is annotating?
Because this is someone is doing it on purpose, you know. This is like
I'm very sure somebody is doing it on purpose.
It's all right. I can live with it. No issues. So this is now 2008. These drawings. Then I come back to India. I was gifted a a garden camera. This is a time-lapse camera, and I'm living in Delhi now. And I thought I will go back to this idea of capturing still lifes. Again, bought a bunch of flowers, a bouquet, put it in a toilet. I had this whole set of arranging this time-lapse camera, and I let this camera capture for almost a week, 10 days till the flowers grew. So there was something connected here, you know, this whole idea of observation and how I was translating ideas. So you see from a drawing now to a video. Can you see this, Abro? Video?
Yeah, I can see it. I can't hear it.
Okay, so good. I just wanted to make sure the video is on. Okay, I'll play it again.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
And there's another video. So this was a small experiment, you know, of how flowers stayed, and I still continue to work with them of using flower in my artwork. So they go in different directions. I'll just again go back to sharing. I'll try to make this quick. So again, this was this giant painting. It was just about landscape and different versions of it. So these were small drawings, very small drawings in ink, and I wanted to make a bigger version of it. I came very close to it, but I gave up this idea because finally I felt that the drawing was still stronger than the painting, because the painting didn't work for me. You know, I did everything with colors. So right now it's rolled up. It's gone to different changes, and I've been struggling with it. But now I'm just going to take it out and see where I can push it, and maybe it'll be a whole different idea which will be plastered on top. So again, what I want to say is, again, in preparation for a bigger artwork, what I go through, like, you know, how I have a smaller version of it, different ideas, and which I will finally assimilate and make a bigger painting. It's a very old practice of all the old masters. They always had drawings and then they would make a bigger painting. Similarly, this is again exercise on working with ink. This was my idea of how to explore ink or how to master ink. You know, it's still a struggle. Ink is a very difficult medium, pen and ink. This was the big painting again. And so I went around the city in New York City, sitting at different fountains. The idea was about the fountains. So you can see on the right what was going on in my mind and what was happening throughout the world. So it's layering of two different thoughts and using a medium which is a very difficult medium. So I was looking at a lot of Japanese drawings, the impromptu nature of how ink behaves, you know, the surprise element. So I wanted to see this surprise element, how you just throw ink on paper, time and again, just throw it and see what happens, like how to paint quickly. Some of them were even oil paintings, so I was throwing paint on canvas. Some of them were calibrated, so they went on to become landscapes. I was looking at a lot of Chinese landscapes. So everything to do with water, ink, cyclones, the movement of water. So there was a whole series of work which was to do with typhoons and storms, how to capture that energy. These are just merely studies for myself. So now I'll quickly move on to how drawing has influenced my design practice. This is a project which I've been involved with for the last few months, and it's in a very early stage. It's at a very conceptual stage. So I want to just share you what conceptual stage would be for me, different things which have been going on. So this is a art center, so to speak, which will house a visitors lounge, come office space, come a canteen inside it. So this was the form, you know, and a lot of things which I was interested in how to incorporate these elements from nature. Some jali patterns which I saw in Orcha, some geometrical, even thinking about, you know, golden ratio, and then my drawings. So these drawings happen when I'm traveling or when I'm in the studio, quiet time, or just what the shape, these plants, whether it's like a kite-like, a rhombus, and you know, just my own iterations of ideas. So from here to here, this is now a drafted version. So I still use my parallel bar. I always have it. I always did. Even in New York, I always had a parallel bar. So the architect in me was always there. It was in a refrigerator. I would always pull it out whenever I needed it for work. And so this is how I work now. I always have a drafting table till I get down to the AutoCAD and computer. I want to test myself with the drawing, and because this is my own connect with design. This connect of what is a classical connect of your pen to the paper, which all of you know, your teachers, I'm sure, they tell you every time, please sketch karo, please carry a sketchbook. This is my own advice to you. It will help you to be a better designer and how to translate your ideas. So there's just scribbles, lines. This is again on a butter sheet. This is a master plan of where this block will be. And then moving on to working in paper, like a paper model, then clay. So here I am trying to, get around the form, which is, and then finally figure out what I will use to construct this. So now bamboo, thatch, all of that I'm exploring. I'm exploring, how bamboo may come in as an elevation element or structural elements. You can see these things happening now. Simple plan. It's going to be a two-story structure. So this end is almost like you can see 4 plus 3, almost like 11 meters high. It's a giant structure. You can visualize it. This is design, another block. This is a canopy structure. By canopy, I mean a tented facility, but also to be able to transform it into different space as you need. So it's a very flexible space, tented facility where an artist can live and work, and middle of jungle. So my inspirations, you can see the butterfly, and magnetic field, and what I'm thinking about in a jungle. The early sketches. Again, this will be in metal or in bamboo. So all those things are in works now, how you work it out with your client. So the bamboo is the material of choice now. After having gone through different stages, I've never worked with bamboo, so I'm very curious now how bamboo will behave. And I'm looking up at different ways to use bamboo now. So these are very early sketches. And of course, simple ideas as part of concept. Paper model, a better pet model. So this could be an awning material. If the client chooses just to be a tent facility, if he's not interested in other materials, let's say. So I was giving myself room to explore in different materials again, how it will look in different material. Again, different ways to now flesh out the details of construction. Finally getting down to the drafting stage of how, if I was to make this in a metal pipe, what is the diameter of the pipe, what kind of pipe which I use. Again, this is becoming a part of a bigger scheme now. So plinth where you have this structure with a kitchen facility, the toilet facility. So now this is getting into details of it. So here the material will be clay or mud, just earth, rammed earth maybe. So I'm trying to figure out how to use these materials with foliage of trees, how it look like. Again, a metal model, metal frame model. So now I can share with you the presentation bit of it, like how we as architects, go about things when we finally get down to the drafting board and when you have to present to your client. The client may want to see these, but he's interested more in these. This is a master plan of this canopy structure with a kitchen facility and the toilet block. It's all out in the open. And this is more like a shape of the plane. Again, I set out the corner. This is a plan. Again, a plan. Now getting into the detail of how the structural members will be. So you can see the scale of it, the figure and the scale. So it's again, a very high structure, almost 10 meters. Not 10 meters, sorry, 7 meters. The ISM. Quickly again, so if I was to use different materials, so this is thatch on top of the frame, bamboo frame. This is awning material. This is just a framework. So yeah, so these are the projects which I've been working on, and what the space will look like inside. For an independent artist who may want to use a space to work. Again, toilet block with shower, WC. These are again very early stages. And how it looked like in thatch. So one last folder I would like to share. This is my sketchbook. I thought I will just scan one sketchbook and show you what goes on in my sketchbook. So this is a sketchbook from 2011. This is still in New York. I think my last sketchbook before I left US. And what I was thinking about, some of them are just, studies of clouds while you're just lazy. It's a very small sketchbook I carry. It fits in my pocket. So studio school has stayed with me, the power of observation, even if it's for later, you always have a record. If you want to do something with it, you have an original source of material, which is a very powerful thing to have. These are just drawings, things which I probably saw at a museum, drawing again from nature. And then of course, then you have the metro. In the subway, where most people are always sleeping or always resting. So I have lots of sketchbook of people just sleeping. I sketch them a lot. So the figure has always stayed with me. I still do. I still carry it when I'm traveling here in metro. Some of them I don't have enough time to even capture the person, but it's enough. So it's all a very experiential thing, it stays with you. It's a record of sorts, a diary. It's a diary of an art. This is a small balloon, the sky. And then, of course, your dribbles and dabbles, spaces, of things you have seen around in a show or your own extrapolation of ideas. Again, friends, people you know. How to capture them quickly. So it was quite a challenge. The idea of mark making is how so important. This is one thing which I learned from my art school, and that has stayed with me. So coming back to drawing, this has stayed with me, with my art, with my design, the idea of mark making, and how to figure out, even if it's a small piece of paper, how to scale things, gives you a perspective. It does not have to be big paper for ideas. Ideas for installations in paper probably. Hopefully I'll make them one day, who knows. And this is again, a fountain. So you have sketches of me even doing the council sketches, and then you have the other side of trying to understand what is going on. Again, someone is scribbling. This was in Berlin in 2013. Traveling. Still life. So you can see. So this is one sketchbook of just drawings from observation. This is a sculpture garden, and this is Central Park. This is a small piece of paper, but I wanted to capture the scale of Central Park. Central Park has huge, giant trees. They almost encapsulate the cover as a foliage. You know, it's like a haven in the middle of city. The scale, I was sitting somewhere here, probably it's a very small figure. And the idea was to again draw this in charcoal in bigger pieces of paper, which I didn't do, but hopefully one day. These are some studies in Metropolitan Museum of African art, African masks. Again, this is one of my favorite artists who passed away, Lucian Freud. He was one of the living masters of this century. Please look up his work, Lucian Freud. I'm a great admirer of his work. And then again, political scribblings from newspapers and stuff. This again says Norway attacks. So yeah, so this is again write-ups and ideas. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope it was a fruitful webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. There's a lot to share, but there's only limited time to do so.
Thank you so much, Satya. Yes, there are quite a few questions. I shall just start off.
Yeah, Japanese manga, I see. Is it art? Japanese manga, yeah, it's an art form. Yes, it's a manga is a whole tradition. It's a whole world of 30 years of manga art. Is a kind of graphic art form. There's a living culture in Japan and in a lot of places in the world where people are ardent followers of manga comics. I am one so little bit of manga because of how they go about manga, because the figures are so beautiful, illustrated, and the effects. So Ghibli Studio is one which you must look up. They're very original. They're very classic, old-fashioned. They believe in making drawings by hand and rendering them and putting them in a loop. Yeah. So chat, right?
Yeah, so I'll just start off with Aditi's question. Aditi Singh, I don't know which department or semester though. She's asking that the responses or reactions your artwork got in New York and in India must be very different. How were they different, and how did it affect your future artworks?
Yeah, you're right. There's a different audience there and a different audience in India. The audience there is a little well informed. They have invested the last 100 years in art. So you have institutions, museums. New York City itself has 100 odd museums. So you can see Delhi has 4 or 5. So you can see the scale of it. Their priorities are totally different. They have invested heavily in education, in art. Here, going to an art school is still a kind of fix with the parents. You want to study art? You're going to be nobody, or you're going to support yourself. So yes, I had a very good audience in New York City. I had a lot of buyers, and my art connected with what was happening there, or I was influenced. It was vice versa. I was a lot of that inspiration came in my artwork. So it was very well received in US. My art has changed dramatically in India now. Of course, the set of issues, some of them are common. World issues are common. The war still continues. All parts of the world. So that has stayed, and that is a big body of work, and you can always look up my website if you want to know more. That's like body of work which is like 20 years in making and still continues. So a lot political and how things have panned out in India and my experience of things in India now. That's started showing up in my artwork now.
Thank you, Satya. So the next question is from Dhruv.
Yeah, growing up in Indian background, how out of the mentality which says you're a guy and you have to earn for family and make a living as soon as possible. Did you had any doubts when changing the field from architect? Yes, it was a struggle. It was a struggle for almost 7 years. First 7 years living in New York City. Most artists do struggle. So you do have to find ways to support your art. And coming from again a middle class family in India, I was no exception. My parents totally disowned me. They totally disowned me, and they said, "No, we're not going to support you. We're not going to support your love for art now." So I told myself I'm going to educate myself. So work study program in art school came very handy, and I was able to make money working in restaurants and all of that. So I kind of did that, whatever it took to. Finally, when I started working for artists, I had a decent source of money to do my art, to be able to buy stationery, because stationery is very expensive. Okay. The doubt about changing from one field to another. Yes, I did. While in New York City, I was never inclined in going back to architecture. I would use design for my sculptural works and installations, for fabrication and my knowledge of materials. But purely architecture, I was not interested. I was a change person. Art school had totally influenced me. What would come now back home? Now I see there are different kinds of opportunities. You can easily open a design firm from your own computer, and you have things at your disposal in a different way, where your friends are your clients sometimes. Somebody has a house to be designed or a bigger project. So some of the projects which I'm handling, they are mostly from friends. So I've gotten back to design just a tiny bit, and it's been interesting now. So I'm trying to work around my art and design. You can see it kind of feeding each other now. So that's the nature of thing in India now. I think I'm going to be doing both design and art. Yeah. I hope that answers your question. So can you show us Japanese manga art? No, I'm sorry, I can't. There's a whole website. Google it. I don't do manga art. Please Google manga art. I'm not a manga artist.
Satya, Simran is asking. Simran is a product designer student, if I'm not wrong. Is asking, hello, sir. I've learned from a mentor that art is something which helps you connect with yourself. Could you please share your journey of how you started getting inspiration for your work, which I think you spoke about it for some time, if you can.
Art, yeah, it transforms you. I mean, my drawings are the best times when I'm drawing. It's very meditative. Art has a power to transform you and people around you. It can be effective if it's used properly. You have.
So, yeah, over to you, Satya.
Yeah, but I think as an artist, most of the artists I know, I don't want to compare them to other people or people of other professions or designers. I think they're very well grounded. People think that artists are just hanky-panky. They don't struggle. They're just like dreamers, or they don't know how to make a living, or they don't have a clue about life. All that is totally wrong. Most artists are very grounded. They know how to cook. They know how to cook with paint, and they can do the jhadu pocha also very easily. So being an architect and being an artist is a huge difference. Architects behave, they are of different breed, but being an artist, it grounds you. You have a connect with, when I'm doing a portrait of someone sitting across me in a metro or in a railway station, I feel very humbled that I have an opportunity to capture something. Yeah.
Thank you, Satya. The next question is by Debashmita. She's kind of asking quite a hard-hitting question. The growing importance towards digital art cannot be ignored these days. It is a matter of fast and accessible work nowadays. How do you think this might affect the hand skill part and the significance of it?
It's a very philosophical question. See, centuries get defined by skills and opportunities and material. People say, or designers, philosophers and designers say, that this is the century of exploring materials. Material has come back in design, in fashion, in products. Earlier, it was about the craft of it. But now it's more about using sustainable materials, as you see. So digital art will be there big time, no doubt about it. Everybody has a camera, right? Even workers have a camera. So there's no escaping that. It's part of our life now. It's so ingrained. Even a baby can capture it. There's no denying it's part of our life now, digital. But the beauty of drawing a portraiture will still stay. That knowledge that somebody has made an effort beyond camera's effort will be appreciated by people. Something getting made by hand has come back in our life. We appreciate more and more of crafts, especially the handicraft. Whenever you go to a market and somebody is selling a product which is made by hand, you are willing to dish out more money for that. I think we all do. So all these places where you see people crafts really hard, places where people make things out of their hand, they are very well appreciated. There will be a room for that. There will be a wall for that. As much as there will be a wall for your digital picture, there will be a wall for your craft, or things which you love being made by hand. So hand will be there always. Of course, you use a hand to clay. That's another art form. Get into photography, and you have good photographs and bad photographs. All that is debatable. But yes, power of hand will always be there. It's always there, been there for the last hundreds of years, and will stay. At least in our lifetime. Yes.
Thank you, Satya. I think Jay Vikram Singh is asking, do you design stage for fashion shows? I mean, the conceptualized ones which has direct or indirect relation with fashion. I mean,
yes. And this goes back all the way to studying at SPA. We had National Institute of Design, an IFT in front of our campus. It used to be old NIFT campus in Indira Gandhi Stadium. So we had a regular feature. Their festivals and our festival, we would like to merge them. So we would do set design and stage design for them, and they would come parading in their accessories and clothing. So it was always a collaborative affair. So we did a bit of that. And even when I established our firm after architecture, we did some of these ramps and set designs. I did.
Thank you. Thank you, Satya. I think there are no more questions. Guys, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask. Yes, Rakesh, please go ahead.
There is one Janvi Sharma sir. I wanted to become an artist, but my parents forced me to design because of job opportunities.
I forgot about it. Yes.
My heart has art in it. Wow, beautiful question. I like that question. That's the best question I've got. I think I feel the same. I never felt there was an artist in me until I found an art school and people around me. See, don't let the artist die in you. Yes, you need to think about bread and butter and the job. So get the design bit in your portfolio and get the art going on the side. Never worry it or, let art help you in design, use it to your advantage. I mean, most of you have art as your courses, maybe you can put more time into it and you'll see the change, how exploring even a medium, collage making, or using just the pencil drawing. You make a beautiful drawing, your teachers will
Magic.
So do that. Never let the artist die.
Anybody else? Rakesh, you wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, do you think events like Met Gala actually promote artists all over the world? Yes, they do. Institutions need money. And Met especially is an institution which is one of the biggest art collectors in the world. They have works from all over the world. Their Islamic art collection is one of the biggest after. So they need money to support themselves. They need money to let come people for free. Fridays are free for artists and art students. You don't have to buy a ticket. Metropolitan also has donate by as you wish. You can just give $1 and get in. So they need and they need to raise money. So Met Gala is important. It's a charity event where you need money, and I think there should be more of it, where rich people can always come forward to contribute. And this is where the difference lies in India and West, where we have just started. The West has invested big time in all these activities, to promote and support art-related activities. Whether it's a museum or a performing arts center or a gallery or a foundation, all of that. I hope that answers. They do support artists all over the world, yes. They give them opportunity to exhibit. So Metropolitan was a place for once upon a time just for the Western artists. But now they're open to the whole world. You have Indian artists, you have artists from Nepal, artists from all over the world who get opportunity to exhibit their work in Metropolitan. There's no more a cradle of Metropolitan Museum is the only place, it's not like that. They are level field, they give you opportunity. If you're good, you can be there. I see a lot of good questions. I'm glad. Leave to serve, no case comments. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't see any more questions in my chat section. Yes, anybody else, if you have a question, please do ask. Otherwise, I think that's about it.
This one says, can art be mass produced but still maintain the uniqueness? It's a very tricky one. Yes, it can be mass produced. You have Van Goghs being produced in China. There's a whole village they just reproduce classical masterpieces. But do they have value? I don't think. The unique work of art will always be unique, painted by Picasso or Van Gogh or any of the artists. If it's painted by someone else, it's not Van Gogh. It's a replica of it, or duplicate of it. You may want to own one Van Gogh like, but not Van Gogh. So that's the difference. You have to understand what you can afford. I hope that answers the question. Mass produced, yes. Art has a tendency to be mass produced. If you are popular, most artists who sell a lot, they have editions of hundreds because people want to buy them. They want to possess Andy Warhol or these people, and they actually did very well. Andy Warhol became successful because he had prints and he could do editions in hundreds. And that was the difference. I hope that answers the question.
I think that's about it.
Someone said, stop drawing, this is simply unacceptable behavior. Okay, this is about the scribble, I guess. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. You can also connect with me. You can get my email address, look up my website. I can share more and more. If you guys are interested, as students, all I can say, keep the sketchbook with you. It helps.
Satya, would it be possible to probably type out your website here or send the URL in the chat box or something like that?
That will be all.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope it was constructive. I hope it was of use. I'm not sure you guys are used to inviting artists, but maybe it was different. Artist and an architect.
I think we are all lovers of art. So anyways, thank you very much. Thank you, Anaita. Do you want to?
Hi, thanks Satya for sharing your work. I'm sure it's been constructive for the students, and I hope it inspires some of them to carry a sketchbook and actually draw more from observation and feed that into their design work. So thank you for making the time for this. Thank you so much, Jap sir, for attending the sessions, and all the students and faculty who have attended the session today. Thank you again.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.